All right, so the second injury report, a lot worse than the first injury report in 1,000 different ways, it feels like. So let's just break this down and get through this because this is on both sides, by the way, not just our side, on their side too. It is plentiful. This is not going to be a game where you have two healthy teams by any stretch of imagination. Jamar Chase did not practice yesterday with his back injury. We'll have to wait and see what ends up happening with that one. I think really it's going to come down to a pain tolerance type of scenario. You know, he came out himself and said pretty much that he'll be there to root on the team and he'll be there to support his guys. But we don't know if he's going to play, the limited snap count, how much will get actually action, or if he'll just be sitting out for the next 2 weeks. My initial guess is that I just don't think he'll play this week. He might not even play the Ravens game. It really depends on, how he's feeling. At the end of the day, Jamar Chase is a bigger picture type of guy. So he is looking toward the playoffs and toward the Super Bowl, and he's not as much focused on week-to-week basics. Last week Joe said, all we'll focus on is next week. Well, one game at a time. Jamar is focused on that in the context of, yes, he understands that, but he looks at bigger picture. This is why when Joe got hurt earlier this season, he told Joe in the beginning of the season, he said, hey, sit out for 5 weeks. We need you when it matters. And, of course, that's the playoffs. So we'll see and kind of monitor him and where he's heading and if he's okay or not okay. Again, he took a bad, massive hit when he hit the ground on his back. There was a triple coverage throw, incomplete, and it ended up being an injury too. Sam Hubbard is our next guy in this list here. He has an ankle injury. Did not participate in practice. Again, another player where I don't know if it's going to be a little bit like, Trey Hendrickson's injury last week with his toe, where it's kind of like precautionary not to push him out there. I wouldn't be surprised if he is limited participant in practice on Thursday and Friday. And keep in mind also, Wednesday's practice is sometimes misleading when it comes to the injury report because players get banged up during the game, right? And it's not always banged up as in the aspect of, oh my gosh, they're hurt or something bad happened or, they're going to miss some time. Sometimes it's simply just playing football and you're sore the next day, right? Let's be honest. So it is kind of that concept too to take a look at, that it might just be that, some of these guys are sore or maybe, it's just ankle kind of feels a little stiff the next 2 days, 3 days after the game. So they're not going to push him out there and risk injury practicing when you really don't need to, especially once you get to that level of veteran status. So for example, Sam Hubbard, Jamar Chase, etc. Josh also did not participate in practice. This one is someone to keep an eye on, though, because he did miss last week's with a shoulder injury. So he is still out with a shoulder injury at this moment in time. We'll see if anything, progresses with that. But at this moment in time, that's something to take an eye on. Now, those are the only guys who did not participate in practice. One of the players who did participate in practice but left practice was T. Higgins. T. Higgins suffered a hamstring in yesterday's practice. We talked about it on the channel, and based on what we understand, we still haven't really gotten too much more information about this injury. He looks like he should be okay, but again, like I said, it's one of those things where, again, he had to walk out of practice on Wednesday. He had to limp off practice, walked a little, not limp, so a little gimpy. That's what I'm trying to say. He was a little gimpy walking to the locker room, so it is one of those situations where, again, like I said, we're going to monitor it. We're going to see, how he's feeling throughout the week. I think he will be playing this upcoming weekend. I say I think because hamstring injuries are the worst, and they never go away, and usually they either stay the same, get a little better, or get a lot worse. So we're going to see probably limited participant practice the next 2 days. I would not be surprised if they just don't have him practice the next 2 days. T. Higgins is coming off one of his best games of the season, 110 yards. So I would not be surprised if you know what, T, you kind of went crazy in that game. You went amazing in that game. How about you just kind of chill, relax this week? He already knows the game plan. He already knows he has a chemistry with Joe. There's no reason to push him out there in practice when, there's just no real reason to, right? So that might be a little bit of that too. Jalen Davis, unless of course we hear other news, which I will report on the channel. Jalen Davis and Akeem Davis-Gaither both were limited in practice. Jalen Davis, I think it's just really you just played football type scenario and you're not 100% after playing it. Akeem Davis-Gaither, he's been dealing with that knee injury for so long now. Obviously, he did play last week, but the 3 or 4 weeks before that, he didn't play. So it's one of those things where, his knee's not 100%, and it's going to kind of keep him on his injury list for, I probably think, next 3 or 4 or 5, 6 weeks. And that's the thing about sometimes about injury lists, is it's not always the players on the injury list and automatically they're just not going to play. Or they're just, they're always on the injury list. That means they're injury prone. Not entirely. So if a player has any type of injury, right, even if it's a small, minuscule injury, he will wind up on the injury list for that said reason, right? They have an illness injury list, right? So it's not always like, oh, well, this guy is, he's like, still in a very bad situation because every week he's on the injury list. No, even if he's like in slight pain or, have a slight injury to his knee every single week, until it's 100% better, he's going to find himself on the injury list. So injury list, well, yes, it is important to take a look at and kind of, scope how the injuries are going and how these players' health are. It's not always, it doesn't tell the full picture, right? And I think that's what, sometimes we look at the injury list and we say, oh my gosh, this guy, blah, blah. Not always. All right, so Chuck Sizzle is back. Full participant in process. He is 100% back, and he most likely, I'm going to guess he plays, not this week, but probably against the Ravens. The only reason I say not this week is because he has to do a full week of practice, I believe, and I'm not sure if they're going to play him this week. Again, like I said, we'll have to wait and see on that one, but if not, then he'll be ready for the Ravens game. Cam Taylor-Britt was a full participant in practice. We saw him actually go down with injury in that Bills game. Now, he came back right after it, so it's not like it was like that bad of an injury, but it is a quad injury. Those type of injuries, I will say, they're kind of, it depends on the severity of them. It looks like he is fine now. He was a full participant in practice. I'm not expecting him to have any setbacks. So as long as he had no setbacks, knock on wood, as always, he should be fine. All right, so that's our injury list. Now let's talk about the big biography? No, biography. Let's talk about the chapter book here, the textbook of injuries on their side. Yeah. Let me take a moment to just fathom how many players are on this list. All right, so Will Anderson Jr., the first round draft pick, the third pick overall, second pick. CJ Stroud was third. They back-to-back picks. Will Anderson Jr., he is questionable for this game. Did not participate in practice on Wednesday with a knee injury. It's very possible that could be a precautionary type of scenario. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, he might not play. It's a very good chance he does end up playing, but again, that is something to take into consideration, that he did not participate in practice on Wednesday. He is a rookie too. So again, like I said, it's one of the situations where when you're a rookie, you're kind of in that situation where you don't always get the luxury of being able to sit out and get a rest day. Now, if you're a first round draft pick, top 5 pick overall, you do. So, keep that in mind. Andrew Beck, which is their fullback / I think he had 1 kick return. He's not their kick returner, is he? Let me check. He is not. No. Their kick returner is Devin Singletary. I was about to say, I think he had 1 kick return, and just everyone started talking about him as a kick returner. He has an ankle, an elbow, and a shoulder injury. I laughed there not because I'm making light of anything. I never want to see injuries. I'm laughing because it's ridiculous how 3 things are hurt at once on this guy. I feel bad for him. Feel very, very bad for this guy. Blake Cashman has a knee injury. Now, Blake Cashman, according to the depth chart, now this is their depth chart again. Obviously, no, I'm not a Texans fan. Keep that in mind. I'm a Bengals fan. But at the same time, though, I'm just going to go off their off their thing here. He did not participate in practice on Wednesday. He is their starting outside linebacker. So according to their thing here, it says he's their starting wing linebacker. Sorry, not outside, wing linebacker. Their kicker, Fairbairn, is going to be Fairburn. He's going to be out for this game. He's not going to be playing. They picked up a new kicker, though. Shout out to the person who commented down below and told me that. But yeah, they picked up a new kicker. Actually, did they? He's not on their depth chart. Okay, apparently they picked up a new kicker. That's what I was told. But at the same time, though, he's not actually on the depth chart, so I'll see where that's headed. All right, so Jake Hansen, linebacker, hamstring / hand injury, and he is actually the backup sub linebacker. did not participate in practice. Again, guys, there's a lot of players to go through here. Tight end, or backup tight end, Brevin Jordan. He did not participate in practice with a foot injury. Steven Nelson, back and neck injury, did not participate in practice. He currently is lined up here as their starting right cornerback. It did not participate in practice. Again, just because they don't participate in practice one day does not mean they're not going to play. Just keep that in mind. We'll kind of monitor throughout the week, but I got to go through all these. Damian Pierce, starting running back, did not participate in practice. He is dealing with an ankle injury. Laramie Tunzel, their left tackle, did not participate in practice. He is a starting left tackle, by the way. Jimmy Ward is their starting free safety. He did not participate in practice with a hamstring. Robert Woods is their second punt returner / their starting wide receiver. Did not participate in practice with a foot injury. Nico Collins did not participate in practice with a calf injury, and Nico Collins is their other starting receiver. So 2 of their starting receivers. Now we got the limited participant in practices. Jonathan Greenland. Jonathan Greenland is their starting right defensive end. He was a limited participant in practice with a hand injury. Henry did limited participant in practice. He is their starting sub linebacker spot. He's also their 5th round draft pick, interestingly enough. So we have 2 limited participant. George Fant is going to be their starting right tackle. He had a knee injury, but he is a limited participant in practice. He'll most likely play. Titus Howard is going to be their starting left guard. He did not he was a limited participant in practice. Miles, or I can't pronounce anyone that's not a Bengals name at this point, I think. I'm starting to learn that. Anyway, though, Sanders, that's Sanders. He is their 3rd string left defensive end, apparently. So he also was a limited participant in practice with a knee injury. Derek Stingley is one of their starting corners. Let me just double check this. I know he's one of the younger guys. Stingley. Okay, he's not on this. Wait, where is he? Is he not on the depth chart? Oh, never mind. Okay, yeah. So he was a limited participant in practice. Also, Charlie Heck, offensive tackle, back injury. And then Josh Jones, hand injury. John Menchie, rib injury. And Sheldon Rankings, knee injury. Sheldon Rankings is the starting D tackle. He does have a knee injury. Full participant in practice. Full participant in practice on John Menchie, on Josh Jones, and on Christian Harris. And finally, Charlie Heck. So all these guys, full participant in practice. Again, like I said, I never want to see injuries, so I want to play a team at their best, not play a team at their worst. And again, always injuries are the scariest thing because you never know what's going to happen. So, a little bit of everything here. Let's just kind of break this down because I had to go through all of them, and it's a lot to take away. So, starting off right away, most of these guys, if not all, will probably play this game outside of their kicker. Which again, like I said, I believe they're going to be picking up a new kicker anyway. I'm just going to double check here on another kicker spot. And yeah, no, 2 different depth charts say they do not have a kicker right now. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But again, like I said, I'm sure that if they are picking up a kicker, maybe they signed him, but they didn't fully go through the process yet. Let's see, depth chart and backups. Yeah, they are sitting in a weird spot right now. So Derek Stingley Jr. is expected to return from IR this week. So that's why also, if you look at the depth chart, he's not technically on depth chart. He's been on IR. So Derek Stingley Jr. is one of the best corners, or is a good corner on the team. He's on the left corner spot. Is he still young? I feel like he just got drafted recently. But yeah, so he is, of course, like I said before, returning from IR. So we'll see how that ends up working out for him. And then we have a couple questionable players going into this. I'm actually going to show you guys this a little bit. This is a little bit better of an example of where the players are and listed. So, for example, like I said before, yes, he has returning from IR right here, Derek Stingley. Expected to return week 14. Expected to return week 12. Jimmy Ward right here, week 10 expected to be back. Questionable. And then so on and so on. So these little red things right here are where the injuries are and where the player is listed on their said depth chart. So just keep that in mind. These are where the players are listed. and kind of like their like role in the offense. So going into this, right? And I know I just talked a lot about all the injuries, but there's a lot of injuries. Usually we don't have these many injuries in one video. Most of these guys will probably play in the end, right? Now, will they be hindered in some way? Will they be on snap count? Will they not be, give us the 100% because of that? Absolutely, right? That's definitely something to take in consideration. That, they're not going to be like they're fresh out to go. But at the same time, though, we might see some backups because of that, right? It's very possible we see a little bit more of Devin Singletary in this game than we see Dameon Pierce, even if he is okay to go and he does play in this upcoming game. Same thing with, Dell. Dell actually last week had 112 yards and 2 touchdowns. We have to watch out for that guy. I know it's against the Buccaneers defense, but he had a really good game. But like I said before, yeah. So just because these guys are, questionable doesn't mean they're not going to play, but at the same time, we have to take in consideration that it's possible that some of these guys do play, and a lot of these guys play, but they're just not on 100% snap count. So, a lot of things to take there, guys. I apologize. Usually, we don't have this long of a video for injury report, but there was a lot to break down here. Guys, tell me down below your thoughts and opinion. I'll see you guys in the next one.